still winding up. Still winding up. Right, okay.
I'm winding up.
I'm going to wind my way into the next one. Are we?
No, you can do it, but can we not do it back to back?
Oh, what? So do one movement and then do
Something else,
something.
and then something else.
Okay.
By the end of the third one, so the third leg.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I don't know what it is. We're just getting weak.
You know when
now.
you're not quite warmed up?
I don't know. It's just my arm. I need to do more weights.
I don't think you do.
Yeah, just some we should have a sort of group sort of exercise session, press ups and
You're a bit
burpees.
of like, we need to get here at 8:30.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
I wouldn't
8
be
really.
if I hadn't gone to sleep.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
Even after
Burpees,
stopping.
press ups, sit ups.
No, do you know what? I came
Healthy
from
breakfast.
Yeah, that's really going to happen next week.
Okay.
Melrose Avenue.
So how many still got 4
Get my
stars?
5th star today.
moving F, slow movement. Without repeats. With a slow movement, without repeats.
The andante.
Yes, that one. Where to start?
We don't have to do it, I just start slow.
I'm going to stop. No, I've got my note now. I won't
With
have to
repeats.
give.
No, sorry.
No,
not
none.
listening.
No repeat.
The first one, no? Okay, no.
Okay. Well, no.
Let's
Okay.
see.
Are we going to do the first entrance?
Exit.
Exit.
The G natural should be G
Did you
sharp.
see me have my little spot?
Is it written in your part? Because cellists do play it differently, and I wonder which is the. I like the G
It's
sharp.
there's a G natural written in, but it should be a G sharp.
Okay, yeah, I prefer the
Sounds
G sharp.
completely wrong. Yeah.
Are we doing the second movement now of the Brandenburg?
Oh, come on.
What movement?
Or
Presto.
third? Yeah, or not? We don't have to. It'll be Allegro. No, we're talking about the Brandenburg.
Oh, right, okay.
But we don't have to. I was just because that was our break from Brandenburg. Brandenburg break.
How'd you break?
Exit Brandenburg.
My violin's got a gap in it or something. Funny's going.
Is it feeling fuzzy?
Yeah.
I did play this violin for ages actually. I think it can be for it. It's had a bit of a holiday. I was playing my or I still need to get my orange back.
I'm going to go with the bow.
But
I like this one.
I'm going to go the full way down on the bow. That's what I said. Yeah,
always
it's
said that. But I don't know. I was just into it. That's not something to do. That's good listening to. I know everyone's got yeah, no, it's given me my students.
Yeah, and I said this to
I prefer the G and C string.
Have you got nice strings on? I think.
I've got the G.
Do you
I
not
will
think
get
the
those
text?
strings to
No.
then read it back. Cheaper to do that. Are we doing? Yeah. Okay. over the place. Yes, I think I've never actually practiced that before. Or I've never seen we were just discussing our parts. What we paid?
I think it's called, yeah, there's like, I've got one in there, and it's really, it says,
Oh, yes, it's next to the alley.
oh, do you want to do a quick sheet? Well, I think it's difficult to see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. It's just, yeah, there's one little bit on a run, it's got a seashell, and then on the way up, it's got a natural, I've never ever seen that.
I just wonder if it's not really in the
Yeah, where's that? Just after
Are we getting close? Feel the hush, the hush. Is there right to move the-
Good morning and welcome. The ceremony will start in just a few moments. The procession is on its way, but before that, I have a few notices. Can I ask that you please all check your mobile phones to make sure that they are on silent, vibrate, or even switched off, because there's nothing more embarrassing than your phone being the phone that goes off in the middle of the very important speeches, or even the graduates being presented. So, thank you very much. Discreet photography and videoing is permitted during the ceremony, but for the comfort of everyone around you, I'd ask that you just remain seated, don't stand up. Professional photos will be available to purchase, and the ceremony is being streamed on live, and a recording will be available on YouTube later, and the link to that will be on the graduation page. So if you don't want to film it or take photos because you're focusing, that will be available. Professional photos will be taken throughout the ceremony, and if anyone doesn't consent to their photo being taken and used for publicity, please let myself or one of the marshals know. In the extremely unlikely event that we need to exit the building in a hurry, please remain calm and seated. Marshals will assist you in exiting the building. For the staff on the stage, there's a fire exit to the rear of the altar through the vestry. For the people to my right, please exit through the rear tower door. And for the people to my left, please exit through the main entrance through which you came. Please do wait to be directed by our marshals. When the ceremony has finished, the procession will leave the church and you will all be asked to stand. The procession will be followed by the graduates and our VIPs, and then our remaining guests will be asked to follow. And we'd ask that you join us at the reception in the marquee behind the Vincent Centre. If any of the children do become unsettled, because it can be a long while to sit, we'd ask that you just take them outside for a breath of fresh air, and then do by all means bring them back into the church. Finally, to our graduands, may I be the first to congratulate you on your achievement. When your name is called, please step onto the stage. You will shake the Chancellor's hand before looking to the camera to my left for your official photo. When you leave the stage, please walk down the middle of the church towards the back of the church with the rear doors there, and one of the marshals will help you take your seat. Thank you. Please enjoy the ceremony, and please be upstanding for the procession.
Please be seated.
Good morning and welcome to Buckingham, those who are visiting today. My name is Mary Archer and I have the honour to be the Chancellor of the University. So it's my pleasure to welcome you to this graduation ceremony. Graduation is a rite of passage, and this is a day you will always remember with justifiable pride. Because today is a very special occasion, not only for you, but for your family and friends and supporters, and for those who have taught you, mentored you, and encouraged you, possibly even occasionally scolded you on your journey to today. You have enjoyed the benefits of a very high standard of teaching and personal attention that is such a benign characteristic of the university. And I know that you will have studied hard to achieve your goals. I hope you've enjoyed being part of the diverse and multicultural student body, which will have introduced you to people, experiences, traditions, and cultures from across the world. You are the latest in a long and lengthening line of distinguished graduates from the University of Buckingham. When you look back at your time here and remember the support and encouragement you received, we hope you will remember us fondly and act as ambassadors for your university. I congratulate each and every one of you and wish you all good fortune in your chosen careers and future lives. Thank you.
Dame Mary, Registrar, Associate Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences, other faculty members, honorary graduands, ladies and gentlemen, our dear friends. It's wonderful to welcome you here this morning to this ceremony. I particularly am grateful to Dame Mary Archer for coming to this ceremony today and throughout this week, for her time and her commitment as Chancellor to the student body here. It really is impressive, and we're so grateful to you, Dame Mary. I'm so glad that you chose our unique boutique university. I'm so proud of it, and hope that as you go into the world, you will be proud of it too. At this very spot, in 1976, the University College at Buckingham, as it was first, the University College at Buckingham was opened by one Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher stood where I'm standing now, and she gave the very first matriculation speech. And she was, of course, then she was leader of the opposition, and later, 3 years later, in 1979, she became the first female prime minister. Under her watch, as it were, in 1983, we gained our royal charter, so became the University of Buckingham proper, able to award our own degrees. And then in 1992, after she had retired from politics, she became our Chancellor, and just like Dame Mary now, was very actively involved with the students and the whole life and ambience of the university. But Margaret Thatcher was particularly excited by this university because of its commitment to independence, freedom, academic freedom, and free speech. And standing here, she said some words which I think are really relevant for today, and I'm just going to read them now. Independence, she said, we must remember, is not a gift. It is not something governments confer, but something that a free people enjoys and uses. Freedom, she went on, requires vigor and imagination in using the opportunities available. But unless we are worthy, she continued, and able to take advantage of a freedom not yet extinguished in our land, we shall become pale shadows, like civilizations before us who were eventually thrust aside and dispossessed by more rigorous rivals. Some of these words were echoes of what one of my great heroes in social sciences wrote many years earlier. And coincidentally, 29th of July, it is 29th of July today, it's his birthday. He was born in 1805. He was a French aristocrat, diplomat, political science, political philosopher, and historian, best known for his works, Democracy in America. Of course, he's Alexis de Tocqueville. And he spoke on similar themes, and Margaret Thatcher was echoing his themes. Nothing is more wonderful than the art of being free, but nothing is harder to learn than how to use. Nothing is harder to learn how to use than freedom. So today is a ceremony for social sciences. And in a way, the social sciences that we do here are philosophy, politics, and economics, political science, international studies, security studies. And apart from the last one, security studies, my academic career, before I became Vice-Chancellor, spanned almost all of those areas. My academic career was looking at this extraordinary phenomenon, which I discovered this phenomenon some 20 years ago in the slums of Hyderabad and the slums of Lagos, Nigeria, and elsewhere. It was studying this phenomenon of low-cost private education for the poor in some of the poorest parts of the world. And the methods one needed to study them were the methods of the social sciences, the methods of comparison, one group with another, controlled experiments, randomized controlled trials, and qualitative case studies and so on. All these methods I brought to bear in the study of this phenomenon. And then the way the social sciences went for me, and it could be the same for many of you. The social sciences, my social sciences went from the pure research side, applied research side, to a concern for actually then developing some of the schools and so on that I was working with. So having worked with schools in some of the poorest parts of the world, eventually working in war-torn countries in Africa, Sierra Leone, Liberia, South Sudan, Somalia, doing these detailed social science studies there, showing that which showed that the low-cost private schools, children in them outperformed the children in the government schools. We showed all that, and we showed that these schools were sustainable, scalable businesses. Sorry, I'm just going to pause for a second. Everything all right? Okay. It is getting a little hot, so do feel free to loosen your collars and move around a little if you feel like it. Okay, let's just wait for a moment. Okay, let's continue. So although my work was working in the social sciences, using the methods of social sciences, eventually I felt very led to work within the schools and create chains and federations of these schools. My proudest achievement was a chain of 5,000 low-cost private schools with nearly 1 million children in Nigeria, particularly focused in Lagos, but in other states, Edo, Rivers, Sokoto, Zamfara, Borno, and so on. So it's interesting how your careers develop. Sometimes they start purely academic, and I should have said for me the impetus to doing the work on low-cost private schools was philosophical. So I actually spanned all the areas here, from pure research to applied research, and then to what you could call loosely action research, developing schools to serve the poor. Let me just spend a couple of final minutes. I tend to enjoy focusing in ceremonies like this. I tend to like to focus on the week in history and see if there are lessons to be drawn from any period in history. And this week in history was very important in politics in 1945, and particularly relevant given the recent shenanigans that have been going on in British politics, particularly because Boris Johnson's hero is known to be Winston Churchill, and in this week, in 1945, Winston Churchill lost the general election, the post-war general election. He had helped lead the country to victory, but in 1945, the British people, in a sense, threw him out and voted for the opposition Labour government to come in. There are several quotes from Winston Churchill about success and failure, which I think are maybe relevant for you today. You never know. But on winning the war, his humility and modesty come through very clearly. He said something which is very profound, I think. I have never accepted what many people have kindly said, namely that I inspired the nation. It was the nation and those dwelling all around the globe that had the lion's heart. I had the luck to be called upon to give the roar. On success and failure, during the war, of course, there were successes followed by failures, success and failures, and in his lifetime, success followed failure and vice versa. And I'm sure this is true of many of our lives, that we think we're succeeding, we think we're doing something well, and then it falls down. We feel we fail, and then we come back again, and so on. And Winston Churchill said, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. The courage to continue in spite of failures, in spite of feeling that you're not getting where you wanted to be. And finally, from Winston Churchill, I think it's a very profound paragraph which very much reflects on where we are today, I think. He wrote, "To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. I like to think that at Buckingham we have made you prepared and qualified for when that moment comes, when you're figuratively tapped on your shoulder and presented with opportunities, with challenges, with potentials, with possibilities. And the preparation and qualification that we've done together with you, I believe will make you ready to embrace those possibilities when they arrive and not to miss your finest hours. Buckingham's motto, I conclude, is Alice Volan's Propris, flying on your own wings. Flying on our own wings, sorry. And I'd like to think in a similar way that we've helped you gain your wings. You will fly high and you will progress greatly in your chosen path, on your chosen paths. But also, I'd like to think we will become a strong part of your roots too. Come back and visit us in this beautiful market town, on this beautiful verdant campus. Come and see us, or certainly keep in touch. Next year is the 40th anniversary of our gaining university status from 1983 to 2023. We'll be arranging events for alumni. You will be alumni. You're graduates now. By the end of the ceremony, you'll be graduates, and then you'll be alumni. And we want you to see yourself as part of a growing international family of alumni. I wish you well for the next stages of your lives. I congratulate you deeply, graduates, and I congratulate parents and families for all the great work you've done in supporting your family. Thank you.
Chancellor, just before we continue, can I just confirm with marshals, the lady who was taken ill, has she been attended to now, before we continue? Okay, thank you. Chancellor, I call upon Professor Julian Richards, Associate Dean of the Humanities and Social Sciences, to present candidates for awards of the University of Buckingham in Social Sciences.
Chancellor, I present to you the graduates in Social Sciences. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Security and Intelligence Studies, Mohammed Mahmood, having submitted a thesis entitled The Role of the Judicial System and the Law Enforcement Agencies in Combating Terrorism in Pakistan. For the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Law Enforcement, Security and Intelligence Studies, Jaspal Singh Lal. Kofi Amokwando Mamuni. For the degree of Master of Arts in Security and Intelligence Studies, Natasha Hornby. Reese Martin with distinction. For the degree of Master of Arts in Security, Intelligence and Diplomacy, Joseph Davis with distinction. Antoinette Ofebe Urenki. for the degrees of Master of Arts in Security Intelligence Diplomacy and Bachelor of Arts, Benedict Collins with distinction. For the degree of Master of Arts in United Nations and Diplomatic Studies, Richard Agbasoga. Zamzam Osman. For the degrees of Master of Arts in United Nations and Diplomatic Studies and Bachelor of Arts, Edward Dolly with distinction. For the degree of Master of Science in Money, Banking and Central Banking, Lukeni Kunda. Hilaria Cunha with distinction. Mauro Franco with distinction. Julian Cook with distinction. Adenowo Sonuga with distinction. For the degrees of Master of Science in Money Banking and Central Banking and Bachelor of Science, Economics, Alexander Hilmy with distinction. James Cheshire. For the degrees of Master of Science in Finance and Investment and Bachelor of Science, Economics, Hannah Hare. For the degrees of Bachelor of Arts, Charles Agbasoga. Rabindra Banerjee with first-class honours. Latesse Bartlett with first-class honours. Maciej Baczynski. Ibrahim Diko. Anna Downer-Dupre with first-class honours. Moten Rayo Esan with first-class honours. Vanessa Hansen with first-class honours. Philip Johnson. Sophie Jones with first-class honours. Amber Khan. Dominika Krzyżymowska. Kinga Krzyżymowska. Daniel Oakey with first-class honours. Blessing Omanazu with first-class honours. Sendil Tamotiram with first-class honours. Joshua West with first-class honours. Garudas Natu with first-class honours. For the degree of Bachelor of Science Economics, Hamza Ajijola. Kadesi Alassani with first-class honours. Scott Brigginshaw. Ashley Zumbira. Elliot Gilbertson with first-class honours. Karamveer Grawal. George Humphrey. Edwin Kugundu. Akinola Olafimihan. Adekunle Oshikoya. Adekunle Oyakan. George Samways. For the degree of Bachelor of Science, Stephanie Forster. Henry Hunt. Mariam Muhammad. Harold Chikozi Oranusi. Before I complete the presentation, I would like to just say a few words. Life, ladies and gentlemen, can be a funny thing. To say it has its ups and downs is certainly an understatement. There are days and moments when we all struggle, when we feel down, when we feel under pressure to such an extent that we're not sure we're going to be able to make it through. And to boot, life can tend to be so hectic and busy that we don't get time to take stock and understand where we are. All of you, having achieved your degrees, have undertaken a very strenuous venture. There has been blood, sweat, and tears, and that's just us on the teaching team. But there are certain moments in all of our lives when we pause briefly to take in the view. Photographs are taken, memories are captured, and for years afterwards, we and our loved ones cherish a most special day. I declare that today is one of those days of unmitigated joy and pride. Not just for all of you who have today marked a wonderful milestone in your lives, but for us also, who have helped you along the way and can now share in your wonderful success. It's a funny thing to imagine that photographs of today will adorn mantelpieces around the world for years to come and will bring daily joy to so many of us. And the path ahead is a thoroughly exciting one. Many have passed through these hallowed halls before you and have gone on to become extraordinary decision makers, shapers of society for the better. We've seen brilliant economists and financiers, diplomats and politicians, many of them rising to the very highest levels, having graduated with us here. And many who work to keep our lives and those of our loved ones safe. It's a curious but magnificent thought to know that we're going to see many more such people in the future from amongst those who are sitting before us right now. So that's your challenge, okay? You have all worked incredibly hard to achieve what you have achieved. And today is a day to celebrate, and you're all to be very heartily congratulated on your success. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation.
The Chancellor will now conclude this ceremony.
Thank you, Registrar. So this ceremony is indeed drawing towards its close. The Vice-Chancellor has reminded us of the motto of the university. In Latin, of course, like all good university mottos, Alice volans propriis, flying on our own wings. May I congratulate our new graduates, not graduands, graduates, and wish you every success as you go forward, flying on your own wings. I greatly admire those who are prepared to tackle the complexity of social science and social sciences. I myself come from a much simpler branch of science, the physical sciences. I started life and continued for some time as a chemist. And in chemistry, as indeed in physics and metallurgy, if you ask the same question and set up your control conditions and remove your confounding factors, you can confidently expect the same answer. And in the hierarchy of complexity from physical sciences, with that relatively simple framework, you progress to the life sciences, where it is much more difficult to remove the confounding factors. If you think, for example, of the difficulty of running a valid clinical trial to test a new drug. You ascend to the top of the tree, I would say, in complexity in the sciences, in the social sciences, where it is completely impossible to remove the differences that confound any simple generalizations and predictions. And yet, the conclusions and predictions that you people can make are essential to the smooth and harmonious running of societies, communities, and countries. So, congratulations. It's a time when freedom of speech and independence of thought is under threat from several parts of the world and from several parts of society. So it was very good to see in yesterday morning's Daily Telegraph, speaking of this university and our Vice-Chancellor, in response to behaviour in some other unnamed universities. This, at the University of Buckingham, this is what outstanding moral leadership looks like. So you are called upon to demonstrate outstanding moral leadership in what you do. The Vice-Chancellor quoted, as he quite often does, I have to say, Winston Churchill, saying of his part in World War II that he did not play the lion's part, but with his good fortune to be called upon to give the roar of the lion. Well, thinking of last Tuesday's semi and the upcoming final, I think we should give a little roar for the lionesses. This ceremony is now concluded.
Please be upstanding.